Hey there, friends of aluCine. Once again, here at our last showing of our festival 2017. We're very excited because we've saved the best for last, I believe. We have with us Willie Varela. Willie, how are you today?
Oh, I'm doing great. I like being here. This is so cool, being in this alley here, and you have all the big buildings and these lovely people here, taking my picture and all that. I think it's great.
Awesome.
I'm having a good time.
Awesome. Glad to have you here. We were just speaking a few minutes ago about your travel. It wasn't the greatest, but we're glad you're here now.
Yes.
We're glad that you've arrived. You arrived in style. Let me tell you, you arrived in a black Jeep. All, very, very high class with the nice little glasses. I like that. I like that a lot.
Most people don't know this, but I used to be in the CIA, and those are always the kinds of SUVs that they drive,
There you have it. You see, we have someone who was in the CIA. Used to be, and now filmmaker, great with the lens, great behind the camera, great poetics as well in your visual styling. And tonight we have the privilege of actually having one of your programs here tonight.
Yes.
Do you want to speak a little bit about what we're going to be seeing and, just explain kind of like what we can expect tonight?
Sure. Well, first of all, I got to give a real big shout out to the aluCine people. They have been very nice, very kind, very sweet. They provided me with everything that I need, and I think it's really been wonderful treatment. And the other thing that I think is great is that you're actually closing this festival with an experimental filmmaker, film and video maker. Usually it's some commercial guy with a big feature, all that sort of thing. But this time you're actually having somebody from, the real community, because that's the way I've come up. I've never had any major sponsorship. I've never, had a big film showing in the cineplexes or anything. I've tried to basically make work that comes from my life, And tonight we're going to see, the first part of the program is going to be 5 Super 8 films that were blown up to 16 millimeter. And from what I understand, they're really beautiful. Believe it or not, I haven't even seen these prints. They're pristine. This is the first time they're ever going to be projected. So I'm really excited about this because they really represent my early work that I was doing back in El Paso back in the 70s when I started making films. I started making film in 1971. Wow. So I've been at it a long time, and I've shown all over the United States and even in Europe. And I've had a couple of big museum retrospectives. I'm just sort of giving a little bit of background there. But these films, like In Progress, March 1979, some of these other films are really representative of my early work. And then the second half of the program is going to be 2 video pieces that I made between 2004 and 2006. One of them is called His Hidden Presence, and the other is a dual screen piece called This Burning World. Yeah. So that's what I'm showing tonight, and I know it's going to be very challenging for the audience, but all of you look very smart and sophisticated to me. Obviously, you'll enjoy these films, I think.
Absolutely. One of the things I really enjoyed seeing is that you work with 8, Super 8, and 16. Yeah. And in this particular project, you decided to go from Super 8 and blow it up to 16. Can you tell us, to our audience out there, what the main difference is between Super 8 going to 16 and why you've made that decision to blow up?
Well, what happened was I was approached by Anthology Film Archives in New York, and they're a very prestigious outlet for avant-garde and experimental film and video, and they approached me about preserving some of my early work. So they took the films, they made internegatives, put them in a vault, and then they also made 16 millimeter blow-ups, and they gave me my own collection of those films. So that was a real honor, and I didn't pay a penny for them, and I was very surprised because they sought me out. And it was a wonderful experience. They did a beautiful job. And now those films, no matter what happens to me, if I drop dead tomorrow, which better not happen, at least that work will be there.
Awesome! Wow, that's actually a really good kind of like retrospective of like your roots, your humble beginnings to where you are today, and I think that speaks to it on its own. Someone that really came from literally just 1971. You said was the first time you made a film. Can you tell us what you've learned from maybe one thing you've taken away from the Willie Varela from 1971 to the Willie Varela that's with us today? Like, what is it that you could tell yourself now, or what is it something that you could, or memorable?
Yeah, I would say that the thing that one of the things that I think is really important to me these days is how important it is for artists to be politically aware. I realize that a lot of artists, I know in the past, and even I was a little bit that way for a while, that they think of themselves as being apolitical, that their work doesn't have to fit in with the world. It doesn't have to be a response to the world, what's happening to them or to their community, to their race, etc. But I have just become, I was always very political, but now I have to say it, and it's a truth being an American. Ever since the election of Donald Trump, it has been really just absolutely full bore, very much on a heavy alert for this guy, and having to be very much aware of what he's doing and how he's affecting our communities. And that means the Chicano community, the Latino community, the Black community, gays, poor people, etc. That, in population, experts predict that by the year 2050, minorities are going to be the majority. And just think about that. It's only 30 years away. I probably won't get to see it, but you guys will. All of you wonderful young people are going to see that, and it's going to be up to you to seize the leadership.
Wow, that's really great. And just to kind of wrap up really quickly, we have an amazing program tonight, and we're very excited. But if you could sum up your program tonight in a single phrase or a word, just to sum up everything, what word would you use, or what phrase would you use to do that?
Well, I've thought a lot of people have asked me these kinds of questions, and I think a lot of it has to do with our self-identity. Who we think we are, who we are trying to be, and who others think we are. Do you know what I'm saying? And a lot of that has to do with identity, self-identity. And I think that tonight you're going to see somebody who maybe, I'm a Chicano, I'm from El Paso, my given name is Guillermo. I go by Willie because, I went to school in the 50s and all my teachers were Anglo up until like the 6th grade. And they couldn't pronounce Guillermo. I just finally got so fed up because they were saying things like, oh, Guillermo and Guillermo. I thought, that's ridiculous, And I just said, you know what, just call me Willie, like Willie Mays, or something. And so I think that my identity, and I think the identity of a lot of Chicanos, is wrapped up in the problem of assimilation, And finally, when we become fully realized, we have to admit we are really citizens of the world. We're not just restricted to our neighborhood, to the city, even the country, because there is so much that is coming into us all the time. If you can read and write and speak, you are a citizen of the world. You have to be. That's what I think.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Willie. Friends of aluCine, we'll see you next time. Thank you so much. Enjoy the programming.